Joining me now for more insight is Sina Azodi. He's an expert on U.S. Iran relations and advisor at Gulf State Analytics. Sina, thanks so much for joining us today. We just heard from the Iranian foreign minister. He said there is a U.S. double standard when it comes to Washington's approach in the Middle East. Do you agree? And in this particular case?
Well, if you want to think of it this way, the U.S. claims that, and the Saudis, they claim that the equipment, the military equipment that was used in the attack were Iranian. So this shows that the Iranians were involved. But you could also make the argument that the attacks in Yemen have been conducted by U.S. military equipment. So you could make the argument that there is actually a double standard of the U.S.
And at this point, of course, both sides are very much insisting on their own narratives. The U.S. accused Iran of being behind the attacks on the Saudi oil facilities, whereas Iran categorically denying that charges on multiple occasions. So how do you look at the arguments by both sides?
Well, you can make the argument that everybody is right. And the reason is because nobody wants to escalate tensions in the region. Any potential conflict will be a lose-lose war for everybody, for Washington, for Tehran, for Riyadh. And any conflict will not serve the interests of these countries. So I think everybody wants to stick to their own words and hope that eventually the passage of time will resolve the issue. Now, going back with the Saudis, they've said that we will respond with necessary measures, but they have not declared what those measures are.
Okay, so we saw that the U.S. said it is ready for additional troops moving into the region, to its Gulf allies. Why do you think they will do this, and why now?
The problem is if they don't, other U.S. allies in the region will basically be skeptical of the U.S. commitment to their defense. So the U.S. has to do something, show some sort of commitment. But when you pay attention to the statements that the Pentagon has made, that these are defensive in nature and to buttress Saudi defenses, these are the least that the U.S. is basically doing. It's a muted military response, just to make sure that the Saudis are capable of defending themselves.
Okay, so, and of course, we heard from the Iranian side where it said it's ready to strike back if Washington was to attack. What do you think the Iranians can do?
I think if the moment comes that the Iranians decide that they are going to respond, this is the moment that we should. Everybody is concerned that there will be a regional conflict. They could attack U.S. allies in the region, the Saudis. The U.S. has a lot of interests in the Persian Gulf, Emiratis, the Saudis. And my concern is that nobody will be safe in that moment. Because if Iranians respond, there will be another response to Iranian response. And this will get into a very dangerous escalatory situation.
I want to step back a little bit and talk about the background, the escalating relations between U.S. and Iran over the past year or so. So many incidents in the run-up to this oil incident. We have been seeing the U.S. Military-industrial complex, if you will, really beating up the drum for a confrontation with Iran. Do you look at it that way?
I think the tension started when the U.S. pulled out of the JCPOA and started reimposing the sanctions that were lifted under the JCPOA. And I think the triggering moment was when the U.S. said it will not issue any more waivers to the customers of Iranian oil. That was the moment that I think the choke on the Iranian economy was completed. And when you're facing such it's basically, let me put it this way, it's basically a total war, albeit in terms of an economic war. It's not a military war. But when you're at this situation, you basically have nothing to lose. And that is a grave concern for everybody, and especially for Iranians.
All right, we'll see what happens next. Sina Azodi, thank you so much for your insight.
Thank you very much.